I'm Joanna Small, the Public Information Officer for the Commerce City Police Department. It's Monday, April 7th, and these are your weekend high or low lights, depending on how you look at them. This is essentially our video blotter, where we give you a rundown of the most significant incidents your CCPD patrol officers responded to over the weekend. But we always like to start these off with a few fast facts. We answered 372 calls for service and made 99 traffic stops just on Saturday and Sunday. Now here are those highlights in chronological order. The majority of our most serious incidents occurred on our city's roadways this time around. Now, you likely saw this first one posted about on our social media, but we'll give another quick summary right here. On Friday, officers responded to East 72nd and Quebec Parkway for a road rage incident in which one driver pulled out a knife and threatened to slit another driver's throat. Thanks to nearby surveillance cameras, we were able to get a plate for that suspect vehicle. Another agency contacted the driver at home as it was outside our jurisdiction, and then our officers took custody of him and the knife after he admitted to committing the crime. He is now facing aggravated felony menacing charges. Overnight Friday, officers responded to 3 DUI-related crashes, the most egregious of which we'll talk about right here. It occurred in the 8600 block of Rosemary Street. That's where officers were called for a vehicle that had run off the roadway and a driver who appeared to be unconscious behind the wheel. When we arrived, we, along with EMS, roused the driver and discovered he had a number of firearms in the vehicle, plus cocaine and fentanyl, and the paraphernalia used to weigh and distribute those drugs. We also learned the driver is a convicted felon for aggravated robbery and assault on a peace officer. The driver is facing nearly a dozen charges, to include driving under the influence of drugs, possession of a dangerous weapon by a previous offender, or what we call POW, and unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. His vehicle was impounded. On Saturday, officers responded to yet another road rage incident at East 63rd Place and Monaco Street, in which a driver flagged down officers who were already in the area to let them know another driver had just pointed a gun at him. Unfortunately, in this case, the victim could only provide a vague description of the suspect vehicle, and we were unable to recover any surveillance footage that captured that incident. Also on Saturday, officers were called to the area of East 56th Avenue and Highway 85 for a driver who was slumped over the wheel, apparently passed out. Now, the vehicle was running, still in drive, and blocking a turn lane. Officers put the vehicle in park, turned it off, and then contacted the driver, who was clearly under the influence of drugs. Officers located baggies containing cocaine, LSD, and MDMA, as well as the scales used to measure those illegal substances. The driver is now facing a handful of charges, to include DUI, unlawful possession of a controlled substance, driving with a revoked license, and possession with intent to manufacture or distribute a controlled substance. Also on Saturday, an observant CCPD patrol officer spotted a suspicious vehicle in the 7300 block of Oneida Drive, a location that has been condemned. While investigating that vehicle, the officer noticed the property had been broken into and there were voices coming from inside the residence. Initially, the suspects barricaded themselves inside that building, but did eventually come out when ordered to do so by our officer. 2 of the suspects are now facing first-degree criminal trespass charges, and 1 was arrested for a number of outstanding warrants as well. That's some solid work, patrol. Overnight Saturday into Sunday, officers responded to yet another DUI crash in the 8800 block of Highway 2. A pickup truck had crashed and was stuck on the train tracks there. We advised the railroad to halt trains to avoid any collisions while we handled the suspect and that vehicle. The driver was standing outside his truck, and a breath test confirmed his blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit allowed to operate a motor vehicle. The driver is facing DUI charges as well as careless driving. His vehicle was immediately moved from the tracks and later impounded. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. Have a safer week, Commerce City, and remember, if you need us, we are always just minutes away.